Welcome to the Women's March Canada podcast, making the equality of women in Canada the new norm. This is episode 6, titled Cooking Up Community. My name is Melissa Durrell and I'm your host, inspiring, uniting, and leading the charge for the advancement of women across Canada. Please give a warm welcome to this week's guests, Kelli, Kieley, and Cara Benjamin Pace. Kelli is the CEO of her media company, Unstoppable Urges Productions. She's also the producer and director of Shway Shway, a full-length documentary film about the Toronto-based not-for-profit pop-up restaurant, Dépanneur, currently known as Newcomer Kitchen. And Cara is the co-founder and project director of the Newcomer Kitchen. She has a varied background in startups and innovation and a deep passion for social diversity, equity, and accessibility in the workplace. You together are creatively collaborating on this amazing new film, and you're going to tell us a little bit more about it. So welcome so much. Let's start with a little bit of background here. Tell me a little bit about the kitchen and how you started this amazing idea.
Well, it started in February of 2016. As the world knows, it was the day that plane loads of Syrians arrived in Canada. Justin Trudeau met them on the tarmac and they started their new life in Canada. And there were a lot of Canadians that reached out in various ways to see how they could welcome the newcomers. And I was involved in it's a pop-up restaurant. We do a lot of events. It's an incubator for new chefs. We rent commercial kitchen space. We do workshops. It's really a playground for everything to do with food and innovation in Toronto. So as we began to think, what was our capacity to help? We knew that we had a kitchen. So we went out and we invited some of the Syrian women just to come and cook in the kitchen. And it started about a month after they arrived, but for some of them it was the very first time they had ever left the hotel, first time on the subway to downtown Toronto, really exploring our city. So we did it. It was an amazing day. We decided to do it the next week and the next week and the next week. And before we knew it, this amazing initiative started. By May, they had all started to find their own homes, but it was such a beautiful community building project that we decided to continue it, but to turn it into a small social enterprise. And so not only did the food that they cook, we had a beautiful meal and they took some home, but we also started to sell online because we had an e-commerce platform.
Yeah.
It was a small social enterprise, and from there it grew. In October of 2016, we turned it into a not-for-profit to look for funding from the government and agencies and foundations that were really supportive of the amazing objectives in terms of social integration, job training, language, having practical language training. And so there we are. So here we are a year later, and it's still growing and thriving and garnered a lot of attention. And a lot of people want to try and emulate our model. So that's where we are now.
How many women come out to your kitchen on a weekly basis?
We have 60 women who are registered in the program, and every Thursday, 8 women come, and we start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we cook till about 5. We produce 50 meals, all beautifully packaged up. Foodora has been a remarkable sponsor of our project from the beginning, and so at 6 o'clock, all the bicycle couriers pull up, and the meals get packaged and delivered for free to the surrounding Toronto neighborhoods. We also, though, have had a lot of invitations to do. So we spun off a little catering stream, and we do all sorts of special events as well. So that employs more women during the course of the week. We also do workshops. So 60 women all participate in various ways.
And it says on your website that over the course of a year, correct me if I'm wrong, but you brought in revenue of $75,000 that goes directly back to these cooks. Is that correct?
Yes, we've actually earned a little bit more. We don't take very much money for administration, but now more. We can barely keep up with our numbers online. But yes, it's in excess of $75,000 have gone directly into the hands of 60 Syrian families here in Toronto.
Tell me about some of these women that you're working with. Like, I guess to me, that's where the story comes in, where the film comes in, because I'm sure every one of them has an amazing story. So talk to me a little bit about how it went from just being this, it sounds like really warm, incredible place that you've created, safe place that you've created, and now to take it to another level where you're actually telling many people about the stories that happen there.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly because she's certainly the storyteller here. And what was so amazing was that Kelly was part of this warm, amazing, close-knit community we have here in the West End in Toronto. And when we were just opening our doors, for this very sort of lively social moment, she immediately said, wow, this is a story here, there's a story here.
Right on.
Following the story.
Yeah. Talk to me, Kelly.
Well, I was almost like welling up with tears just now because I was remembering being here yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was my first real interaction with a woman named Zubaida. And they had a special workshop where Zubaida was going to share her special recipe for a cookie that she makes called Kak-el-8. Is that right? Kak-el-8?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just such an amazing day. There's things that I like. There are some language barriers, obviously, but there was another lady from Syria there who is very articulate and well-spoken, and she was able to speak, share Zubaida's words with the group. And so just yesterday, I learned about Zubaida having 15 children, 3 that she lost, 11 that are in Syria, 1 that is here with her right now, and how she chose Canada because it was the only country that would accept someone with a health issue, and she has a heart problem. She said that she would have wished now that she'd gotten an education so she could write and speak, and we marveled that she was teaching teachers yesterday her recipe, and what a beautiful experience that was. And she says that she was talking about how she comes here and that Cara is her daughter, and that this is a place of healing and joy. And I mean, that's just one story of so many, but it was pretty remarkable yesterday. I had some of the cookies and I'm like, these are literally magic cookies. Full cookie to eat. How did this happen that this woman managed to make it here and be downstairs teaching these teachers how to make this beautiful recipe that could have disappeared forever? Yeah.
What does Shway Shway mean? Because this is the film's called Shway Shway. So what does that mean, and why is it?
It means little by little or slowly, and I mean, I think I've heard Lynn and Cara say it so many times. It's one of the words that they pick up and they're like, Shway Shway, Shway Shway.
Oh, my little.
Because I guess the whole process is coming together organically and little by little, and it's kind of unfolding and step by step, and like sort of I've watched Lynn and Cara have to react to all this tremendous public attention and demand, and people who want to touch this, and sort of trying to move the organization forward. And in the meantime, they're working with each family and all the individuals and trying to adjust them into and be supportive to them. And anyway, so slowly this beautiful new world that they're creating is unfolding, and I've been able to witness that. So yeah.
One of the things that happened yesterday, so Thursday, every Thursday is the day we come together and we cook. And it just started out that Thursday was the day that we happened to have spare time in the kitchen, but Thursday became the day. And obviously the women know that the organization they participate in is called Newcomer Kitchen, and they're very proud of that. But the ladies call it Hamis, which means Thursday in Arabic. So the ladies across Toronto, when they say Hamis, they mean it's the day that they can come to Newcomer Kitchen. And what was so amazing yesterday is we have 2 kitchens. We have an upstairs open concept restaurant with an open kitchen. And so 8 ladies were up here, and it was so lively and bustly and cheerful, and everyone was working so hard and working together. And downstairs we had a workshop. We love workshops. We love bringing in people and have that opportunity to have that communication, share that knowledge, do that learning together. So yes, Zubaida had an amazing day downstairs, because it is kind of magical that, given how isolated she could be here in Canada, instead, she gets to come and meet so many amazing Canadians who are so appreciative and so, joyous around the fact that they can come and participate and help to give meaning to a woman's life. And right now, there's a lot of talk about aging with dignity, and especially aging with dignity for immigrant women. And to have this project where our aging women are in fact our most cherished and valuable members of our community. We call them our matriarchs.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a world, in a Western world in which, the older you get, the more anxious you get of, what your opportunities are, how you're viewed in society. In Syrian society, women feel they get better and better as they get older, and they're more confident, and they feel they have more power in who they are. And then they come here, and it doesn't seem that whole value system is turned on its head. And so one of the fun things about Newcomer Kitchen is we've really, embraced that value system. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful. And so, but then upstairs at 5 o'clock, when everything was, winding down, and, there are all sorts of people in the kitchen, and sometimes the local customers come, they like to come pick out their meals and just say hi. And then the women, they got paid, which is a beautiful moment, and then they all put on their coats and, got out their tokens, and they all swept out into the night, it was dark, with such confidence and happiness. And I thought, these are working women.
Yeah.
These women a year ago couldn't speak a word of English, had no way of finding a way into this life. And now they're so proud and they're so happy, and they don't even realize it anymore. It's normal.
Yeah.
So for a long time, it was amazing. And now it's normal.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful?
That was I was so hit by that. They were just happy, normal, and they were just coming to the kitchen and doing their work and getting their money and going home with their families, and it was normal.
And I think there's something to be said, you were saying earlier about how Syrians really appreciate growing older. And isn't that something that we can learn from them as well as Canadian women, to be more respectful of our senior women and the experience that they have? And so, there is that give and take. And I think so often when women come, especially immigrants come to our country, they feel like they have so much to learn, yet really valuing what they have to offer, I think, is just as important.
The core value of Newcomer Kitchen. Yeah. It's our core value.
Yeah.
It's not us just downloading and imposing a Canadian social culture in which they need to adapt to. It's being open, and having that dialogue and understanding that we all have so much to bring, and that we can really look at, the best of all sorts of different cultures and ideas and social structures and norms, and putting together a better society.
Yeah.
So I think what you've created is so amazing and so beautiful, and yet I know you're really struggling to keep this place open. So, tell me about that, because I can't imagine anybody that comes into your space isn't writing a check, right? Isn't that the way it works?
Well, funding has a very particular culture, their structure, their rules. And so one of the problems we had was when we incorporated as a not-for-profit a year ago, we thought that would allow us to be eligible to apply for funding. And then we found that really isn't the case. So in fact, you need to be a charity to really be able to accept donations, and large donor donations. You need to have charitable status. Not-for-profit isn't sufficient. And so we just, we really grappled with whether we should apply for charitable status, which takes actually about 2 years. But because of course one of the core missions of Newcomer Kitchen is employment and job training, we actually weren't eligible for charitable status because we were really a little social enterprise.
Right.
And then on the social enterprise end of things, there are investment funds that are starting to be interested in us. But we need to be in business for a year. We need audited financials. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of sort of boilerplate in terms of eligibility that, right now we're sort of still caught in the middle, and we're getting there, Shway Shway. Mm-hmm. We're beginning to, we've been in business for a year now. In 3 months, we'll have audited financials. But everybody needs to see that this has a certain kind of longevity and a certain kind of, compliance issues are all lined up. And, we've been pretty good about, keeping things organized in the books, but even in terms of government funding, again, you have to be incorporated for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find, or you have to find a trustee in the settlement world who will front your application. So we've done that a couple of times now, and we did secure a government grant, a Trillium grant, a couple of months ago. But we are now so far down on the lead applicant's application that we're actually only getting this tiny little portion of what that grant actually was about. And other grants we're waiting for, you know, you apply for a grant and you have to wait for 6 to 8 months to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're doing right now. We're working really hard, but remembering that because efficiency is not our mission, you know, trying to get as many women as possible to work so they can all have the experience and share. We don't take a tremendous, like very little of the money that we earn in our catering and our pop-up goes in any way to Newcomer Kitchen. We pay for groceries, we pay for packaging, we sometimes pay for a little bit of rent depending on what kitchen we're using because we don't have our own home kitchen. And you know, there's a tiny bit that's left over for the administration, for the staffing that it takes to run this, which is, you know, kind of a 7-day-a-week job. So we have a project director, we have a catering director, and we have our 2 Syrian coordinators who were the husband and wife couple that from the very first day were the ones that brought the first group of women, and they've been involved ever since. You know, they go off and get jobs, and because they were very qualified and educated and had language skills, they could. And they you know, they fit in Newcomer Kitchen, you know, in their 1 day off. But what we really need is we need core funding for proper staffing, like any organization.
So, I mean, a big part of that, I guess, is getting the word out about what you do. And so this film likely did that. Kelli, tell me about what's happened with your film, some of the reactions you've had.
Well, I haven't finished the film, so
okay.
That's what we're crowdfunding for right now. We've filmed about 23 days in total since the second or third week that the organization. And some of what Cara's talking about is going to be in the film. I'm going to focus on some of the newcomers, but it also watches this incredible story of the Canadian people and all the people who've put their neck out on the line and put their whole livelihood at risk to make this happen and to sort of dream this dream and make their vision a reality. And it's quite an incredible story. It's almost an impossible story. So right now we're finished 23 days. I have about 5 more days of shooting left to finish the story. And we're crowdfunding to raise funds for post-production, because that's a really expensive, laborious 4 months of editing. You know, 5 days a week is going to have to happen to make this long feature film. So we're just basically bringing the project to market at the moment. And actually, we've decided to co-fundraise for Newcomer Kitchen because they had a little bit of a funding gap we discovered just after we launched the campaign. And so we're actually crowdfunding at the moment to fundraise for the film and to help Newcomer Kitchen move forward into the next year.
So not only has Kelli spent 18 months following us and being very, very involved in this project, and her cameraman and all the support staff that, you know, have participated in, you know, the complexity of producing professional footage and professional film, but also become really involved in the project. And, you know, one of the things that's the most amazing thing about this project is the friendships that have built through this project, whether you know, all the Syrian women, ourselves, and the babies that are being born, and going to the hospitals, and going to all the parties and the housewarmings and the movies in, and, you know, and crying when things go wrong, and when, you know, when we all have family crises. And, you know, together we've really built this extraordinary friendship. But on top of that, when Kelli had planned to go to crowdfunding to finish this last piece of the film, and then as we were launching, indeed, you know, we began to realize that getting to the end of the year was such a struggle. You know, I've had a number of like serious health setbacks, and, you know, it's getting harder and harder for me to work the 7 days a week, and you know, harder and harder to generate that small amount of extra from all the work that we do, you know, to keep myself going. You know, I'm a single mother with 5 kids, and it's, you know, I'm kind of drowning basically. And so Kelli, in the moment of, her own need to finish this film, which is all about giving back and all about showing this kind of community building, she said, no, she said, what we need to do here is I need to reach back and help support you. And I want to donate a portion of the proceeds of her campaign to Newcomer Kitchen. And that's the kind of person Kelli is. That's, she's an extraordinary human being. And, we've had so many adventures together. We went to the Washington March. The two of us went on one of the buses to Washington. We had such adventures and such a crazy time.
Yeah.
It was such a bonding experience, like one of my best girlfriend weekends ever. Right?
Wow, that was a magical time.
But it's all about how when you reach out and you dig down and you give deeply from your heart, what really happens is that women pull together. Women pull together. And, all of us in this program, as women, as mothers, as, many of the women now in our program are single mothers. And as we try to understand, as we navigate society, I think, that Washington and Canadian March for women was so pivotal because it changed our sense of our own ability to change the world.
Yay, yay.
Yay. And, part of Newcomer Kitchen is, as women, how do we want an organization to be built? How do we want it to look? As women, as mothers, as women who have, health issues, it's all about us choosing and us deciding, and it's for us and it's about us.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to call the shots. And, whether it's, we make policies that older ladies get picked up and dropped off so they can come to the kitchen. Or, if a woman has all of a sudden to take her child to the doctor, there's no question, or even, there's never a question. You can't make it today? That's fine. Just take care of yourself. We'll figure it out. It's okay, because we've got a lot of sisters here that are helping make this happen. And so we all know that we're not living in fear of our lives in terms of, growing this organization, because we have core values that are about women and what do women need and what do women want and how do we do it together.
Yeah, it's been pretty inspiring, and that was really sweet of Cara to say those nice things about me. But the truth is that this project has really helped me reconnect with myself and what I truly believe. And I've been so inspired by the work that she's done, and Len and all the people. And just the vision is huge. I mean, it's literally, I remember when Justin Trudeau came here and being downstairs and we were interviewing Cara and she was getting ready. And you can just imagine what that must have felt like. And she was so excited for the women to have this moment. And she said, this is about peace, women in peace.
Yeah.
It is.
I love it.
Beautiful.
So I can't wait
to find that peace. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We have to find peace in the midst of the storm.
Yeah, we do.
Peace is something that's going to come to us one day and it's all going to be delivered. We have to find that for ourselves in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of the crises, in the middle of the wars, in the middle of being single moms with no money, in the middle of having nothing. But what we have is our own strength, and what we have is if we connect and if we support one another. Kelli has been like my tower of strength for a year. And, it really is about, like, together we can do it. Individually, we can't.
Yeah.
But
I'm laughing because I have to say, and I'm not going to get into the story, but we went on the bus together. It was the first time we'd ever gone anywhere together. We could barely have a cup of tea or
I know,
wine.
we kept saying, when are we going to have fun?
Yeah, we're going to have to sit down. Somehow we're wound up on the bus. I'm reporting for Al Jazeera and Now Magazine at the time. I'm so nervous. Everything is going wrong. Anyway, something else goes wrong with me biologically on the bus. It was to do with menstruation. And Cara saved my life on the bus. Yeah,
well, it's another thing that women are always grappling with, all their own health issues. Yeah. Whether you've got breast cancer, but you keep going and you put on that wig and you don't tell people that you're feeling sick, or you have depression issues, or you have, like all sorts of issues. And, as women, we have a lot of issues that are physiological. Whether we have endometriosis or whether we have, we're in the middle of having the most painful period and we keep on going and we just shut up and we don't say anything. And both Kelli and I have suffered from a condition where when your hormones are through stress, because it's all about our hormones, and it's about the fact that we're stripping ourselves, daily in terms of, what we have to draw out of our bodies to survive. Kelli was in this situation where, she was hemorrhaging on the bus in the middle of everything that was going on, and it was the middle of the night, and she didn't want to say anything.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And literally she was fading away until I figured out what was going on.
Unbelievable.
It was amazing. We stopped the bus in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of upstate New York, and the bus driver pulled over, and and we had to figure out who had this and who had that, and how we were going to get her blood pressure back up, and in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, with Kelli in the bathroom,
Yeah, it was not good.
Not good, bleeding.
Yeah.
But every woman on that bus was like, okay, right? What are we going to do?
Yeah. And I love that. I think that's too.
Back up, and
I marched.
And she marched.
Yeah, you did.
Right? And there we were, in front of the stage, and Madonna came on, and Kelli was like, Madonna's my favorite.
But I love that too, because I think we've been surrounded by, for the most part, men so much that we've silenced ourselves, and as more women become leaders and come into positions, and we can understand each other, and we create this community of openness and understanding. That's the key to the future, right? I mean, that's
me too. We can talk about it.
Yeah, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. This is life, and we're women, and these are things that happen, and we need to hug each other rather than silence each other. So I love that. I love your relationship. It's amazing. And I want to, of course, tell all of our listeners and viewers that you can go on to Indiegogo.com, and the project is called Shway Shway, and it's called the Newcomer's Kitchen. So please go on and support this. We believe at Women's March Canada, this is an amazing initiative, and we want to see you continue for years and years to come. And I'd love to see this go across the country, because what you're doing is so important. It would be amazing if we could take you too and put you across the country, because what I think is so special is this amazing thing that you've created. But at the same time, it's important that we put it across the country. So thank you for joining us.
We get the film done, it will go across the country.
That's right.
It'll go around the world.
Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
I can't wait to see your film. So please keep us updated at Women's March Canada. We would love to share it. And so thanks to our guests. That's Kelli, Kieley, and Cara Benjamin Pace. Thanks for everyone who has joined in and listened to us today. Your comments are welcomed and they're encouraged, and you'll be able to find the Indiegogo link in the bottom of this in the notes. So please do that. And please subscribe to Women's March Canada channel and receive updates every time we upload a new podcast. Our mission across Canada is to stand together in solidarity with our partners and children for the protection of our rights, our safety, our health, and our families, recognizing that our vibrant and diverse communities are the strength of our country. This is the Women's March Canada podcast. You can find us on our website at womensmarchcanada.com. Thank you.